Good. All right, guys. So thanks for tuning in. This is the fourth installment of what's going to end up being Money Badger TV. Here on YouTube, we're live. I'm also live on TikTok just for a few minutes to give you guys a sneak peek. If you guys really want to see the interview, we got Romer the Roamer. He's one of the most aggressive booksellers there are. He's going to teach you guys a little bit about what he does and hopefully drop some good knowledge bombs that everybody's just getting into it and kind of use. So Romer, I really appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your day and sitting down with us. Hopefully anybody that's watching this can find a ton of value, which I'm sure they will between the two of us. So go ahead and take a few minutes and just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Awesome. Yeah, so I started my journey a few years ago. I keep saying a couple years ago. It's really 2017 when I started, so I'm losing track of time. So yeah, I guess almost 3 years ago now is when I really started. I was coaching wrestling, and that's when I was going to thrift stores every day. And wrestling paid me $1,000 for 3 months of work. 3 months of me just working my ass off at wrestling practice, coaching these kids, which I love doing. And during the day, I was going out and I was thrifting. I was making more money finding books at thrift stores than I was coaching wrestling, doing what I love. So I was like, okay, obviously doing my passion, the whole millennial thing of like chasing your passion, I was like, this isn't going to work. I'm not going to be able to travel the world. I'm not going to be able to do the things I want to do whenever I want to do them. And I was thinking about going to graduate school. So I wanted to go to physical therapy school. So I had like a quarter life crisis. And I was like, you know what? And before that, before the wrestling thing, I did start a landscaping company with my friend. So I did do something entrepreneurial, but books was just the one thing that was so easy. I was like, okay. And I saw Reezy Resells doing this. And I was like, if someone like Reezy can do this, no offense to Reezy, but he's wearing a baggy shirt, he's got his beard all screwed up, and he's walking around like, hey, guys, it's so easy. I'm like, if he can do it, I can do it too. So so I was like, okay, like I didn't really think, I thought he was doing it for YouTube or whatever. I didn't really think people were making big money doing this. But again, I had a landscaping company. I coached wrestling. These are my forms of income. I was planning on going to physical therapy school. Selling books was the only thing that consistently made me money for like a minimal amount of effort. I was like, okay, if I put more effort into this, maybe I could scale this to the next level. So what I wanted to do was travel the country. And right now I'm actually going through kind of the same thought process. Like quarantine's kind of screwed me up. This whole year was supposed to be dedicated to traveling and traveling the world. That's my goal, is to travel to every continent in the world. But at the time I hadn't even really gone too far west of the Mississippi River. And I knew I wanted to go to California, Washington State. I wanted to go to all these places, but I didn't have the money. I didn't have a job or anything like that would allow me to travel. So what I did was I took my Toyota Corolla, and this is what I'm known for. I'm called Romer the Roamer because this is like the name I made back then, but it's going to stick because I'm going to be traveling the world for the next few years. But I made my name Romer the Roamer because I took out the front seat of my car, put a wrestling mat down to make a bed. So I put a bed. Imagine taking the front seat out of a car, gutting out the whole back, which I never put the back seats back in because I found out you can fit a lot of books in the Toyota Corolla. So I left the back seats out even to this day. For 3 months, I lived in my car, traveled the country, went to libraries, thrift stores. I didn't even know what a library sale was. A lot of your followers probably don't even know what a library sale is. When I left, I knew literally nothing about selling books on Amazon. But it was making me money. So it just shows how like you can be an idiot and get into this business and make it work. And that's what was really appealing to me. And then really the turning point was I went to a Turn the Page conference, which is a conference for all these booksellers network, met my mentor, Caleb Roth. He took me under his wing, or I forced myself underneath his wing, and texted him, harassed him for the next few months. Because he was a guy, you just talk to some people, you're like, holy shit, this guy's smart as fuck. I was like, wow, this guy's smart. Why the hell is he selling books? Like, why is he selling used books on Amazon? He used to be a medic. He was making 6 figures a year. He quit his job doing that to sell used books on Amazon. I was like, okay, there's something. And I saw all the other full-time Amazon sellers. I was like, people are actually doing this. This isn't just a gimmick, This isn't just like Reezy Resells, vlogging his YouTube channel. I thought that was all fake. I met Reezy in person, saw he was actually doing it. And then that's kind of when everything shifted. And I dedicated to going crazy with this business model instead of just doing it as a side hustle. Then I went to New England. I know it's kind of a long story, but it'll make sense to where I'm at now. I was in New England and I was just I was with a buddy, and we were sourcing. We were going to thrift stores, libraries every single day, just scanning every section. 8-hour days, and we had a couple of days off where we'd explore a little bit. But the point of this story is this is how RestrictedInventory.com, my business now that generates me a lot of revenue, was created. I was on this trip and I was scanning textbooks. Every thrift store we went to in the Northeast had at least one $100 book. And my buddy was like, "Oh, we're going to leave this book on the shelf. It's a restricted textbook." And I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. What do you mean it's a restricted textbook? You can't sell these on Amazon." I was like, "Yes, I can. My account could sell it. His couldn't. It's because I started earlier than he did. I started flipping my textbooks back when I was in college. I got grandfathered into selling textbooks on Amazon. So then I started doing it for a couple other people. And it got to the point where I was getting so much volume from the reselling community, from my audience, from other people's audiences, that I was like, I'm going to shift my business model from thrifting and I was doing a lot of liquidation. Like my sales were like 20,000 plus a month, no RestrictedInventory.com. Started RestrictedInventory.com, like 3 months in, boom, 80,000 in sales that August. So it was really insane. So I branded myself as, not even me, I branded a whole separate business as RestrictedInventory.com, and people were spreading that like crazy in the Facebook groups, and that really took off. So that was my focus took a lot of time building the systems out for that, making sure I had a way to track all the inventory, really dealing with customer service. I had to put my big boy pants on and learn how to, run a business, because Amazon kind of prevented me from doing that for a while, because I would find books, ship them to Amazon. Amazon would handle customer service, tracking, logistics, all of that. So now I was having to deal with what Amazon has to deal with. So that's really my story over the last few years. What's been going on, and now I'm working on expanding out different ways. I do work with a few colleges. I still go out thrifting occasionally, but most of my income does come from RestrictedInventory.com and teaching people how to build a book business, how to do what I did, in the last couple of years.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, you do a lot more now with like education of the community than you probably do like physical sourcing. I know that like recently too, you've got a really close friend that does salsa down there in Miami with you, and you're actually taking him under your wing and kind of like paying it forward and teaching him the ins and outs of the game.
And it's nice. Like I'm going out with him and I'm sourcing with him, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's dangerous how addicting it is to go into a thrift store and source books.
Oh my God, you're telling me. Like it's like a scratch-off ticket, but with much better odds.
Dude, you're an addict. You know that, right? Because you're on TikTok,
oh, yeah.
which is addicting. And then you're going
totally addicted, bro. Totally addicted. I'm not gonna lie.
Like your dopamine levels are insane.
Yeah, so like I like to say that like once you've sold your first $100 book, like you're hooked. There's no getting out. If you haven't realized that like that's what you're going to be doing for the next 6 months to a year or forever or whatever, like that's your entry point. I think right there is like finding that first $100 book.
Right. Yeah. It's especially when you got it for free or paid $1 for it. You're just like,
I can't personally, like, I know I follow like other people like Miles, for example. He's another mentee of yours. And he does shoes mainly, but like I can't find another business model really where you spend a quarter, a dime, 50 cents, $1 on a book, and then you turn around like 1,000% return.
So awesome, but it also limits it to an extent because anybody can do it. So then to scale the model, you have to start thinking of ways, which I'm sure we'll get into this, but ways to scale. You have to start adding more value, because anybody can acquire these books, because all you need to do is download the app on your phone and go out, which makes it perfect to teach people about it on TikTok and to like educate people like I do. But to take it to the next level, like full-time or like automated status to where the business is running without you, you do have to think of different ways to build relationships, to get books to come to you. Maybe you have to invest in a warehouse. There's a bunch of different ways to scale it, but because anybody can enter this business with virtually, like, there's no barrier to entry. It makes it very appealing on the front end, but once you get in it, you're like, okay, now how do I take it to the next level? Because a lot of people don't talk about these things.
Exactly. Yeah.
What I'm passionate about is like taking it to the next level. A lot of people don't even want. A lot of people just want to make a couple $1,000s a month and that's it, which is fine.
That's perfectly fine. Yeah. But if you want to do this long term, you really have to start like thinking, and like that's why I kind of like whenever I take anybody under my wing, I kind of say, hey, look, scan a few thousand books, do it for a few months, get a feel for the market, get a feel for the process, and then from there, you can really start to get your footing and figure out where your business can actually grow to. So real quick, like when did you decide that this wasn't like a side hustle that like you could do because like let's say Reezy was doing it and it was super easy to get into? Like when did you like have that mentally click in your head that like, wow, this is something big that I can turn into a big job or like a big business?
Off doing it, like a guy as smart as Caleb, I was like, it definitely lit something up in my brain. I left that conference. I was definitely changed after that conference, but I think really what shifted me, I did a couple liquidation deals early 2019, and that's when I was like, okay. I walked in some liquidation deals and made like 10 grand in a weekend, and I was just like, holy shit. Like I'm never gonna go back. I never worked a job. Like I was like, I don't want to ever have to work a job. I saw my parents, how hard my parents were. God bless them. Like they are hard workers. They're both teachers. I didn't want to do that. I want to work hard, but I want to get paid more than they get paid. I want to have more impact than their jobs allow them to have. And they're teachers, so they have lots of impact. But I wanted to do something that was scalable. Like from a greedy, selfish perspective, I wanted my finances to be able to go to the next level.
Of course, yeah.
Physical therapy wasn't going to allow me to do that. Even if I went the route of becoming a doctor, there's a cap. You know, I'm a doctor making $200,000 a year. My expenses are going to go up with that. I'm going to get a nice place. It can't ever operate without me. I can't say, okay, I worked hard to get my degree to be a doctor. There, I'm doing my thing. That my doctor degree is working for me. That doesn't happen. When you make a business, you can step away from it. That's the beauty of it. That's what gets me excited about making a business, is like the ability to step away from it if you want to. Like I just went camping for a whole week. You were asking me how the camping trip was. It was amazing. And my business operated without me the whole time. You know,
that's amazing. That's perfect.
Yeah,
that's how you know you're on the right path. So now you and Steve Rakin, you guys.
What's up, Steve?
You guys talk a lot about, especially in both your social media profiles, you particularly talk about working on your business, not in your business. Yeah. Can you elaborate for some of the viewers kind of what that means to you?
When you sit down in the morning and you start working, it's perfect, really, because I know a lot of people out there just going to Goodwills, thrift stores, libraries. They don't open until like 9 o'clock. So first thing in the morning, what things can you do to make your business grow? And really there's two things that, and I learned this from a Tony Robbins event, but growing a business comes down to two things: marketing and innovation. What are you doing to market your business better? And for resellers, you're probably thinking, what the hell do we have to market? Amazon does it all for us. That's right. Amazon does everything. When you ship the books to Amazon, they do all of that stuff. But you still have to market to managers of thrift stores. You still have to market to get booked, free pickups. You have to market your book business to get the books. You know what I mean? Right. Not to sell books. Amazon handled all of that, fortunately or unfortunately, whichever way you want to look at it. We don't have a customer base there. They own all their customers. We don't own our own customers on that end. So marketing, and then innovation is how can you make your business better? How can you improve systems? How can you innovate to make, maybe you have someone go pick the books up. There's 1,000 ways to innovate. You think of those two things. How can I build systems around my business to make it grow? Marketing and innovation are those are the two top ones. And then within a book business, there is sourcing, listing, and optimization. So sourcing, listing, optimizations, handling inventory, repricing inventory, making sure everything's good after the books are listed. The most important one is sourcing. Listings in the middle, that's a simple process. You just get your items listed for Amazon. But if you focus on sourcing, really you don't even have to focus on those other two. Like if you drop the ball on those other two, follow the money badger. He'll get you good on how to list books and how to optimize. But if you focus on sourcing books, how to find quality sources, that's what's going to make you build your book business. So how can you build systems around that? How can you have books come to you time and time again? How can you build a business that has relationships? It's not just reliant on you going out sourcing, which is fine. Like people can do that, but I always like to see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's like, okay, I'm doing all this, and this is one of my biggest regrets is when I went out living in my car. I wish I would have had more relationships. I wish I would have a whole customer list now of every single thrift store I went to across the country, because I could do a lot of things with that now, but I didn't. I was just focused on, scanning. So when it comes to working on your business, it's working on the systems, sourcing, listing, optimization, and having them work without you, either by delegating the task, which means get somebody else to do it for you, or automating the task. It means like getting a computer to do it for you. That comes with repricing, all that. So
Absolutely. Now, how many employees are you up to now?
we're actually cut back. I had like 8, but like 5 were like part-time. Now I have 2 people that are like full-time. They put 30 hours a week in, and then 3 part-timers. And that's just the Americans. I have teams of virtual assistants, which are virtually like, it's crazy how cheap they are, but I pay them like anywhere from $2.50 an hour to $4 an hour. I have a video editor. I have just a virtual assistant that handles all my tasks. Facebook ads team, a bunch of other virtual assistants. But as far as the book business goes, 1 virtual assistant, 5 listers, and that's really it. If you include the reselling community, yeah.
Well, that's like guerrilla marketing, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. You're pretty much the Tom Sawyer of the reselling community, where you're getting kind of like all your buddies to paint the fence for you. So that's really inspiring.
Yeah, it is, and I'm not blind to that. RestrictedInventory.com, as awesome as it is to generate money now, it's gonna blow up. Either Amazon's gonna lift the restrictions and it's gonna end, or Amazon's gonna restrict me and my partnered accounts. So it's gonna blow up eventually. So like that's just something that was so hot and it happened, and I just hopped on the opportunity. But now I'm actually taking RestrictedInventory.com and throwing it back into my book business, the software I built for it, and I'm using it to. You're familiar with the software. I think you've maybe looked at it a little bit, or you've seen videos of it.
I've seen videos of it. I haven't really used your service for 6 months or so, but I've definitely seen the videos where you put out where you came up with actual software. So now you're like, but when I used you, it was pretty much like I sent you the books, and there was like minimal communication, and like I could send an email to like get a report. But you're scaling that up now, and you've got software.
And I grabbed your books, put them in the storage unit, and I think we just loaded that storage unit up with a bunch of other books. And then like a couple months later, we finally listed your books. It's not like that anymore. We have touch points now. Like we let you, like the software is, that's what the software does. When our listers receive the books, they check that they received it, and it sends an email notification immediately. So I can do this with RestrictedInventory.com, but I can also do this with thrift stores, or I'm going to go after the college bookstores. I'm going to go call.
That's a really smart idea.
Cold call them and say, hey, look, I have this software. I know you guys throw away a lot of books each semester. All you have to do, like, I'm willing to like purchase a Chromebook for them and a scanner. And be like, look, I'll get the whole setup for you, even U-Haul boxes. You guys just put the items in a box. We'll pay you once a month when they sell. So that's what RestrictedInventory.com does now. We actually integrated with USPS as well. So we generate the label for you at RestrictedInventory.com. And then, but we'll do that for the college too. And then it'll integrate with USPS, and they'll say your package is here. And then finally we receive it. So we select that we received it. And then after that, you also get notified when the items are listed. So there's like about four touch points throughout the process. So that's good to like build, it's not brand awareness, but just to like let people know, hey, your inventory is taken care of. But also every time you can touch base with either anybody, like whether it's a reselling community, or whether it's, a thrift store or a bookstore that I'm working with, the more often I can reach out to them and be like, hey, look, I'm selling your books for you. The happier they are.
Exactly. Yeah. No, so like communication is huge, especially in our industry, where like there's so many people that are just shady, or they'll hide stuff, or they'll just ignore stuff. So it's nice that you're building a business where, if I were to send you books, or if somebody were to send you books to sell because they were restricted, you give them like communication, like pretty much every step of the way. So that hats off to you for building something.
Right. And it's the same exact thing. Like if you ever do consignment with somebody, or if any of your students do consignment, like touch base with them as often as possible.
Of course.
restricted inventory just scaled so fast that I dropped the ball in a lot of things, you know, and it was scaling to the point where I was like, holy crap, we're getting all these books, but we don't have the system in place to like let people know. Like my biggest concern was like, I want these books listed and tracked properly. I wasn't worried about telling people what was going on. And that was a downfall early on because people got upset. They're like, what's happening to this? And now that's a lesson that I can take and I can give it to my students and say, hey, look, like, you know, if you're doing a deal with the library, if you're doing a deal with the thrift store, like make sure you let them know because you're taking someone's merchandise and you're selling it on their behalf. And they will be very upset if you don't let them know what's going on with it.
Exactly. So, hey, I got a quick question for you. When you first started out, like, I know that like you're probably like the rest of us where you were drinking from a fire hose and yeah, you had like some mentors that you could kind of walk to, like maybe Caleb Roth, or you went to Turn to Page, so maybe like Miggity Mike or Reezy Resells or any of those guys. But what's something that you really wish somebody would tell you, like when you first started out, that maybe you learned along the way?
I wish I would have known about library sales. I didn't know about those.
I think a lot of people sleep on library sales.
Yeah, I wish I would have known about that. Booksalefinder.com is great for that. I wish I would have known how to ask for backroom access. I wish I would have known how easy it is to get on gated CDs and DVDs. All you have to do is get an invoice from a trusted distributor, order 10 units. Nobody does that. Even though I tell people how to do it, they don't do it. They still use my service, which is great. Send me stuff. I'm fine with it. Because everywhere you go where books exist, CDs and DVDs are also there. So you can just really maximize profit. I wish I would have done more pickups. It's such an easy thing to do. You just put an ad out on Craigslist like every 2 days.
Yeah, Craigslist or Facebook, absolutely.
And I wish I would have focused on I really look back and like, of course I can't say this, you know, I wish I would have done this from the beginning, but knowing how easy it was a lot of money, a lot of time to build that software. I didn't have the money back then, but to build some type of software or to reflect my brand for the consignment that I'm building, I probably, like with this knowledge now, if I started from square one, I'd probably get like some sort of investor, whether it's like even like my parents or something. I might go to them and be like, hey, look, I have this idea. And they might tell me to fuck off. Like, who knows? But I would try to get the money from somebody. And my point with that is like, differentiate yourself by having a brand and not just being a reseller to these businesses. Because I've noticed a trend. I have 5 people who are full-time Amazon sellers, and they've all built a brand around themselves. Most of them have done bulk. And then donations are huge too. Donations require having a brand, you know.
Right.
So the people that I've mentored to become full-time have brands, but the people who have mentored me, they're 7-figure sellers. All of them have brands. Just brands. So I wish I would have. I tried doing that early on. My brand just didn't take off. You guys can go look at it. AveryBuysBooks.com. Never took off. I didn't nurture it enough. It didn't resonate. RestrictedInventory.com was my first brand that really just like grew itself. So like I tried several different brands, and one of them worked well. And I'm not an idiot. I'm not gonna, when something's working well, I'm not gonna turn my head and go the other direction. I just went balls deep with that one.
So you had mentioned a lot of times, you know, from when I started following you, right after I started following Reezy Resells, you were really quick onto the scene that I discovered. And from the beginning, you were talking about swimming upstream. Like if one person can jump into the thrift store and disrupt your business, you don't have a business. Yeah. So a lot of the questions that I get and some of the questions that I'm seeing now, both on TikTok and YouTube, are, you know, how does one that's just getting into it feel comfortable enough or find a way to ask for backroom access? Could you provide any of these guys?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it comes down to sales skills, speaking. Really comes down to sales if you really boil it down. Every city's different. Every city's gonna have different logistics, but my advice is gonna be different than everyone else's. I know Reezy's big on like bringing pizza and stuff like that. I don't like I feel like I'm bribing when I do that. That's just not my personality. Like, I'm not gonna walk in with a pizza. I just feel weird. I'll do it like the 3rd or 4th time, but I'm not gonna do it the first. I've actually never done that. I've brought gift cards before, but again, I don't like doing that on the front end. On the front end, when I'm
It
asking
doesn't
for
feel natural.
this is super important. You have to realize by getting backroom access, you're actually helping them because you're making it easier for them to run their business. You're going to organize. You should organize their stuff better than when you got there. So you should leave everything better than when you first walked in. And they'll love you for that, and they'll let you get backroom access every single time if you do that, if you don't leave it a mess. Number two, you're freeing up a lot of their space. And you'd be surprised, you're going to go in the back room, and resellers think that they're like stealing from the back room. They're like, oh, like I'm so dirty for being back here. Like, oh, and it does feel good being back there. You're like in a gold mine. You're like a kid in a candy store. Like for you,
yeah.
Don't get too excited when you're back there. They're going to be looking at you like you're weird. Like take a deep breath, calm down a little bit, but realize you're going to get back there and it's going to be a completely different world. They're going to be throwing away $100 textbooks. And you're going to be like, what are you doing? And it's going to be like, they don't have room for it. Nobody ever buys tech, blah, blah, blah. They'll have an excuse. So they'll throw away valuable books. And then you'll realize that you're stuck in your little selfish world. And what's really going on with these businesses is they have a space issue, especially now in the time we live in. And so they're getting they're getting all these books coming in, and they just want to get them on the shelves to sell them as quickly as possible. And anything that they can't put on the shelves, they're trashing. So by you going back there, and the first time you go back there, you should also take more than you need. So maybe lower your triggers a little bit and just show them that you mean business. And then they're going to love you. Like if you walk out of there with several boxes, several carts of books, if you leave the place clean, if you leave a good impression, you're confident, you make them feel important, like take their number down, text them a few times each week, touch base with them. Hey, whenever you guys get inventory, message me. If you do these things, like these are just common sense things. Like read books, business books. Like they all say the same shit over and over again. Like Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Like building a business doesn't change just because you're in the reselling business. Like you still do things. So yeah, that's my answer for getting backroom access. And then there are some cities just suck. Like Nashville actually wasn't very good with this. A lot of the Goodwills there were really political, where they wouldn't let you in the back room.
Yeah, they're super tight.
Yeah, I keep trying. Like I won't ever stop. Every time I go there, I'll ask in a different way, and just be persistent and act like you've done it before if you haven't. And if you have done it before, let them know you've done it before. Like, hey, I did this down the road, and I really helped them out, blah, blah, blah. And again, branding helps out here. You can say, like, I have a book business, whatever your book business name is, little things like that.
Of course. That's one of the reasons I love mom and pop thrift stores so much, is that, like, there's a lot less of those politics and more of, like, mom and pop just trying to survive in their own business. And if you're coming in to kind of help them out, make up room, and, let's face it, like books are probably like in their business, the least driving revenue source, and it's not something that really draws people in. I think that's something like mom and pop thrift stores. What I see a lot of focal point when I walk in is usually like baby clothes or boutique clothes or like some of the wares. I don't see a lot of books. They're usually in the back.
They'll trash the book donations. You can just say, hey, look, whenever you get book donations, call me. I'll come pick them up. I won't even charge you for it.
Right.
And now they're providing more value to their customers, their clientele, because now they accept book donations, and that's going to bring them more donations of like clothing and whatever. And now you can just clear it out at no cost for them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So what's next for Roamer the Roamer? Like you said, you're partnering with school bookstores now, but like what's down the road, maybe 3-4 years out?
So I want to have 277 sources other than currently the reselling community is my biggest source, but I want to have 277 sources of places, businesses, colleges, thrift stores, library colleges, whatever they are, donation bins. There's so many different ways to make money with books. But I want to have 277 sources that consistently bring me 30 textbooks a piece every month. And once I get there, that's going to be $1 million in revenue. After the 50-50 split, that's going to be $1 million coming back to me a year. So that's going to be that business. And then we're deep enough in this interview that, you know, if people are watching, it's going to be called recycleknowledge.com. So you can go look that up. And then dude, I have 1,000 ideas. Like when it comes, and you should be thinking of little things like this too, because you're in the same boat as me with the reselling community. Like I'm already selling courses to people, teaching them. I have a goal of 100 full-time Amazon sellers, so I want that to be fulfilled. So I'm always looking for the best ways to scale this business, because it's in my best interest to keep my feet wet, so I can, like, you know, come back and teach people how to do the things that I'm doing. So 100 full-time Amazon sellers. And then I am thinking about starting a software for the reselling community to, like, track their data. Like they'd be able to log in, see how much their inventory is worth, and list it. And I would just give it away for free to my course members. This isn't a plug for my course, but it's literally just like I'd be starting like a listing software from scratch. And that's just me thinking right now. This is the first time I've ever, like, publicly said that, but I really do think, I know I enjoy making software now. I look like Mark Zuckerberg enough that I should have my own software. People always, that's the number one thing we get on our Facebook ads is I look like Mark Zuckerberg. So I definitely want to put, I think I'll put a listing software out there eventually. And just continue to vlog my journey, Gary V style. Catch up to you on TikTok.
That's the only platform I'm super blowing up on, man. But I mean, it's still really small fish in a big pond. So there's definitely room for you. Hopefully, you gain a lot of traction from this interview. A lot of the questions we're getting now, like for instance, this one, I don't know if you can see it, but Flipping Goods asks, why 277 exactly? Is there a specific reason around that number?
I worked backwards. Tony Robbins' business life mastery. I wanted $1 million in revenue, and I just worked backwards on that number, and it was 277.
That makes sense. So you start with the end, and then you're like, what do I have to do to get there?
And that was after a 50-50 split. So
yeah, that's really smart. It's really, really smart. So where's your next country you want to go to? You went to Mexico recently, and then I know you went to Puerto Rico, but that's still part of the U.S. But
yeah.
Once all this COVID stuff's over, where do you want to go?
Colombia will probably be the next one.
Are you going to hit up most of South America because the salsa, or what's going on?
Yeah, I want to go. Me and Rakin, we might travel living together next year. We might be on and off living together, traveling. Who knows how it's going to go? But I know our lease ends in February here, if you guys can see. Live in beautiful Miami. Beautiful, beautiful city. We got the City National Bank behind me. It glows up at night. I love it here. I'll probably stay in Miami for a while, but I do want to travel a lot next year. And I think Medellin, I think that's how you say it. Medellin, Colombia is how you say it.
Yeah, Medellin. The double L is silent. It's like a Y sound.
Gotcha. Yeah, Medellin, Colombia. That's the first one. I don't want to think too far in advance, but I have that on my. I googled top places for digital nomads, and Medellin came up. So, and they have salsa dancing there. So
yeah, I got a question you might have fun answering. I'm going to put it up on the screen. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Islander asked, "When's the last time you got your hands dirty?" Follow him on TikTok, Islander. He got his hands dirty last week before he went on camping, right?
You mean when's the last time I went sourcing?
Yeah.
Yesterday, actually, today. I got a textbook this morning. Went to a Goodwill. All this is Goodwill right here. I got all these clothes from Goodwill up in Minneapolis. And
I saw that. You got that textbook. Paid for all those clothes.
Yeah. I got a textbook that it's got a low price of $13, but the FBA is $79, so I can probably sell it for about $40, maybe $50 if I'm lucky.
Nice. So let's address the course. So everyone follows me on TikTok knows that I'm not a huge fan of courses. I know they have a place, right? So a course has a place. The problem comes in when somebody comes in and says like, oh, well, I'll bait and switch you. And then you get like basic information in the course. I don't think that's the case with you because you've got such a wealth of knowledge and in-depth in the reselling community. So what can somebody expect when they sign up for your course? Like, what will they get out of that?
So my course is basically like everything I wanted to know. It walks you through. We actually I made the course, and it was more for like an advanced person. It was more for somebody, who had been in it for a couple months or a year. I made the course for myself, and then I realized, crap, like if someone new comes in here, they're not going to know what to do. So then I went back and like added, how to list a book, how to use ScoutIQ. I added all the basic stuff. So it's got all the basic stuff, and then it's got how to scale a book business to the next level. And it's got everything. I didn't hold back. Like it's got, because you know how this is. You probably feel like this sometimes. You probably feel like you're a hypocrite. You probably feel like, why, I'm maybe advice that I shouldn't be giving. But then if I didn't give advice like from people who I'm talking about, like mentors of mine who I've watched their business models work. Like I don't do bulk, for example, but I understand how it works. I know how to get bulk connections. I know the logistics of bulk. I know how to process bulk. So I included that in there. And then same thing with donation bins. We explore that a little bit. So like I don't hold back. I talk about what worked best for me, and I even break down like how RestrictedInventory.com worked for me and why I think the branding for that works. Like it's literally like what worked for me, what I wish I would have known, and how to start a book business, like bare bones, finding books, listing books, repricing books, all of that. So
nice.
And then,
so if we wanted to get to your course, where would we find that?
Bookbizblueprint.com. I need to get you an affiliate link that you should put underneath this video.
Yeah, hook me up. Yeah, I'll plug it for sure.
Yeah, I'll get you that.
Oh my God.
This video.
Yeah, absolutely. Another question, somebody comes in, they're asking why certain books get restricted. Is it just something that Amazon does, or I see a lot of people like scanning books. Like for instance, they'll scan it. I've noticed this too, where ScoutIQ doesn't really show you that you're restricted.
They're going to bookbizblueprint.com. I will say, if you do show up to our webinar, you will get a discounted price. So I'm going to go ahead and just put that out there. So if you go to bookbizblueprint.com/webinar, sign up for the webinar, you're going to get a much cheaper price, because in the webinar, it's a great webinar where I break down how to start selling books on Amazon. So I don't want to hold that back from your audience. But when it comes to the restricted books, the reason why these exist, it's the same reason why wholesalers restrict people from listing on their listing. Like you can't sell Apple, you can't sell a lot of these like name brand products. So like there's brand restrictions and there's category restrictions. This is technically it's a category restriction, but it's McGraw-Hill, Pearson. There's another big one out there. These textbook companies came together and they basically threatened Amazon. They're like, hey, look, I don't know exactly what they said to Amazon, but they're like, we don't want, initially they framed it like this. They're like, there's a lot of counterfeits being sold. So they framed it from the counter, which was a huge concern. Like it's legitimate. I have a counterfeit book on my shelf right now. I don't see it. I'm not going to grab it, but it's the DSM-5, and it's a purple book, and like all the letters are shifted because it was printed in India. So guys in India were printing these books, shipping them to America. When they come to America, people would sell them for dirt cheap, and it watered down the used book market. Which obviously, if you're selling a product and somebody makes a counterfeit version of it and sells it for a third of the price, that's going to screw your business up.
Oh yeah.
I think they realized though that they had power by restricting people. Not Amazon. Amazon was restricting people, but they realized that by having Amazon restrict people, the used market value went up. And this is kind of where like the conspiracy theory comes in. We think that they noticed that whenever the used value went up, people were more likely to purchase the new books. Let's say the new book selling for $150 and the used book used to be $80. If you can bring the used book up to $120, that's close up to $150, where the student's like, screw it, I'm just going to go ahead and pay $150. So now we think they're doing it more just to restrict the used book market and increase the value. Again, that's a conspiracy part of it. Maybe they're just doing it out of not the goodness of their heart, but the goodness of their wallet to protect from the counterfeit issue, which is legitimate. And companies like Textbook Rush, which, by the way, if you guys do use bookscouter.com or any buyback company, there's companies out there that will buy your books. Never send them to Textbook Rush because they have been sued, and they've been known to like snitch on people if they send them counterfeit books and potentially get you sued as well. So don't send them to Textbook Rush. But Textbook Rush was sued for like $30 million.
Yeah, I ran into a problem with Textbook Rush when I first started. I think when we had that, we went out for drinks or for dinner back in the day. I
That's
think we
good.
told you about this, where Textbook Rush would like they got like 30 of our books, and then they said they were counterfeit, and then they charged us to get them back, and then we got
Wow,
them back. We sent them to like Books Run or like Buyback Bill or something like that, and they were just fine. So it's like that was part of their business model.
that's interesting. But they sent them back to you.
Yeah, we paid to have them sent back. I was like, I'm not letting you keep like $700 worth of books. So I sent them back to, I think it was either Buyback Bill at sellyourbookback.com or Books Run. It was one of the two. But, yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. So another person asks, I know this is kind of off the wall. It's a little bit back in the conversation. Josh Schroeder, he's one of the guys that consigns with me. He asked if cherry pickers should ask from backroom access if they won't move as much inventory as a standard book reseller. I
If they
think
won't move.
everybody should ask for backroom access.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get backroom access, just like stay there as long as you can and provide as much value by taking as many. I'm looking for my phone charger right now, but taking as many books as you can. Like you're not. It's not like you're gonna. It's not like you're doing a bulk deal. Like you can say you have a bookstore or whatever online and that you do buy in volume, but by no means like you're not a bulk book dealer, and like you're not going to be doing the same thing. I mean, if anything, if I get backroom access and it sucks back there, I'll leave. So get backroom access first before you worry about stuff like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you used to say back in the day too that everyone's definition of bulk is different.
Right.
Bulk,
Yeah, I like using that word because it sounds good
right.
to me. But it's good to know if maybe you say, hey, look, I buy books in bulk. Maybe they'll present you a bulk opportunity, and you can look at it and see if you want it or not. But I like saying bulk books, and maybe bulk to me means just a couple carts or a couple boxes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, but if it turns into more, hey, you just look better, but like set the right expectation.
Right.
Yeah. So where can everybody find you if they wanted to find you on social media?
Romer
Or
the Romer. ROMER, the Romer. It's on the screen. It's the same on Instagram. It's the same on YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok now.
So you're everywhere.
TikTok's insane.
Are you on Triller yet?
No, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, I just found out about it was yesterday. It's like a watered down TikTok.
Really?
I'm not really
that might
impressed.
blow up now that Trump banned TikTok.
Yeah, give it a shot. I mean, it doesn't hurt to have a profile or at least secure your username.
Yeah. Someone will probably go take it right now, and they'll have to be Romer the Romer _official.
Yeah, they'll sell it to you.
Yeah.
That's funny. So, do you have any questions for me or anything like that?
Yeah. How's your business going? How's everything from like your mastermind, from your book business?
So yeah,
a million kids.
Good. Family's good. Kids are good. I have my youngest. She's gonna turn 2 here in February, so we're real busy. We've got 5 kids. Man, it's like I'm running a bulk operation without a bulk operation. So we were getting ready to send out, I think, like 1,800 books. It's going to be close to 50 boxes, but we're going to start splitting them up into like 20 box to 30 box shipments twice a week.
Are you actually processing like Gaylords? Or
no, it's all cherry.
Nice.
But being that you used to be in Nashville, you're well aware that we have. Well, I think when you were here, we only had the one outlet, so we have 2 outlets now.
Gotcha.
We've got all those different thrift stores throughout Nashville and the surrounding areas. But we trained our 2 oldest kids to do listing, so that was our biggest bottleneck. And we're up to 25 to 30,000 a month in sales. We're hoping to go a little higher than that. We're trying to focus more on like payouts rather than the number of like sales. So to do that, I worked backwards, kind of like what you were doing, and figured out how many books I have to have in inventory and what my average sale price needs to be. So we've just been focused on getting quality books in.
Yeah. And that'll squeeze down how much work. I know your kids are doing it, but how much work, loading your car up, how much space you have, processing the book. Once the book gets to Amazon, like once you buy a book, like let's say you lower your threshold and you accept like 20% more books, that's 20% more work. How much more profit is it going to bring you? If it's only going to bring you 3% more profit, was it worth? And then you also have to spend money on the books. So now you're going cash flow negative to buy more books that are only going to bring you 3% more profit at the end of the day. But it feels good when you do
so
it.
what we found,
it feels good getting more books. You feel more productive. But once you mature in business, I feel like, leaning out a little bit is an important process.
Absolutely. I think the hardest process for us right now is like delegating and putting systems in place so we're not really like doing everything,
Yeah, you should.
It's really hard to like give up the reins, I think.
Yeah, you can message me, man. I'll hook you up with. I know you have your own listing process, but manualizing everything's huge. Like having a manual for stuff. Like I'll shoot you my manuals over if you want. You can give them to your kids, see if they work. But eventually, they're not going to be there to do the work, And then it'd be nice just to have somebody else do it, and then you're not. It's going to be stressful. I imagine your volume's going to keep increasing. It's going to be stressful the day where you're like, okay, kids can't do this anymore. Kids have school. Kids have whatever. And then you're like, oh my gosh, like I have to either step in and list the books, or I'm hiring someone else to list the books. And if you can just give someone a manual and like train them bare bones, it's so much less stressful because like that part of the business is like, in a sense, it's not running on autopilot, but it's its own system.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, just step away from the steering wheel a little bit, kind of like focus on the big picture things rather than the small picture things. I like to talk a lot about like strategic relationships, so I'll give you a little bit more time about like focusing on those things,
Yeah.
But aside from that, I mean, I'm actually looking at working with getting a VA to do a couple of like managerial things, like stupid things, like that I don't want to do, like little tiny like email things.
What are you doing for customer service? Do you answer those? Like if someone says, hey, my book had writing in it, what do you do with that?
So whenever they send communication, I'm currently handling it, but that's one of those things that I'm looking to hand over to like a VA, so I don't have to.
I have a VA go in there and check every single day. And
I
learned this from a bookseller who's in California, and he does like 700,000 a year. He's pretty big seller, and he's several years ahead of me. And he told me he goes in. I don't know if he goes in. I think he goes in each day. He doesn't even have a VA do it. I have a VA do it now, but he'll go in and mark everything as not needed. Because Amazon, when you shipped your books to Amazon FBA, they assumed 100% responsibility for customer service. They try and delegate it to us.
And they like to put that like little time frame, like 24 hours for you to respond, but it's like
that's what I'm paying. So you have to mark it as not needed.
Right.
You mark everything as not. We mark everything as not needed. Like, hey, is this set complete? Hey, is this book blah blah blah? You just mark everything as not needed. Early on, it probably hurts your feedback. Like if someone's asking about something, but Amazon said that they assume responsibility for all of that. So you can literally just mark it. All you have to do is mark it as not needed. That's one thing my VA does every day. He checks fixed stranded inventory. There's a couple of things he does in Seller Central, but those are the main ones. Check stranded inventory. He tries to get any negative feedback removed. That's a big one because sometimes he tries and does.
Especially with this new system, like you're supposed to use their automated thing, and if they don't like automatically do it, then it's like tough luck.
Yeah, I think he's opening cases, but then they pulled back. They got tired of Amazon sellers opening too many cases for negative feedback. So I might have told him not to be as aggressive with it. But we had a whole system in place where he would open a case, he would try his best to get it removed. He would do like 3 times. Like we'd be pretty aggressive with it. But yeah, little things like that you can have your VA do, and then you can even have your VA like reach out to libraries, reach out to thrift stores, get the conversation warmed up. That's another thing. You'd be surprised. Like you can have your VA do so much. Like my VA, I have a whole list of things for him to do, and he's just like, "Holy shit, dude, calm down!" Like I have so much for him to do, and he's not even able to get to it.
He's like, "Dude, chill out."
Yeah, and then I showed him my list. We talked for the first time. I've had him for 8 months. Super punctual guy, like my best employee ever. I told him that out of the Americans. Hopefully my Americans aren't watching this right now, but he's the best I've ever had. And I talked to him, and he was like, I showed him my to-do list, and he was like, Avery, like we need to get your to-do list in check because my to-do list is fucking just like Huge. I use Trello to organize all my thoughts and everything comes in my mind and everything I ever want to do, which I won't be able to do all of it, but it's all in one board. And I'm like, look, Ern, if you think I'm being hard on you, look at my board. And it's just like way more. And you have a lot of potential because you have your book business, which is doing really well, but now you have this audience and you got to decide what you're going to do with that. I think you're doing fine. Like, I'm no one to mentor you on that. You're taking like the Gary Vee approach, which is great.
I mean, you really are, because you've got a big audience as well across different platforms, right? And you've got a lot of great contacts. So I think there's a lot of synergy between the two of us. So
Definitely.
I mean, like, we should definitely like link up more often.
Yeah,
next time in Florida,
we need to do that TikTok challenge against each other. But
yeah, I think that'd be a lot of fun.
You're kind of breaking up a little bit.
I said, yeah, I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. We'll come up with a theme. I always talk about this as like the paradox, though, of running a flipping business. I notice this a lot where people start posting about their success and then they kind of blow up on social media. And your book business is doing great. Like 25,000 a month is great, but their business doesn't explode the same way their TikTok or Instagram or YouTube growth does. And they almost become like an imposter or it's disproportionate. You know what I mean? And they become like this guru and they're like, holy shit, like I'm a baby. I just got started, but they got so much attention. And all of us to an extent have to deal with that. But it's because social media has the potential for this growth where certain book business models don't. Or certain reselling models don't. Like there's certainly like there's Better World Books, there's Discover Books, like there's the top 10 Amazon sellers, 3 of them are booksellers. Like this has potential for massive growth. But a lot of ways people are doing it, they're not doing it in a way that has massive growth potential. But social media does with little effort in terms of like building systems or hiring 100 people to work for you. And that's the beauty of it. But you got to realize like just because it's TikTok or just because it's Instagram or just because it's YouTube doesn't mean that your impact's not there. Like your impact's 100% there. You have close to 40,000 followers on TikTok. That's massive.
I'm almost at 45,000 now.
40, holy shit. Like you got 7,000 last week, I think. Like
honestly, like, no joke. You could tell Steve this. Like every day I wake up and I'm like, I make sure that he's still nipping at my heels because he's had like 4 or 5 videos just blow up.
Yeah.
Like every time I wake up, like we were at like 12,000 ahead of him. Then we're at 15. Then we're down to like 11 now. So like he's catching up. So
and the thing is, like, I thought TikTok wasn't real people, but these are real people, and like these are real lives that you're affecting, that I'm affecting, and like it's a lot of responsibility. Like this is as much responsibility as like running like a massive corporation, but it doesn't feel like it because it's just a phone.
One of my favorite things is the emails that I get or the DMs. It's like, you've changed my life. I'll thank you forever. This is amazing. I can't believe like this. You opened my eyes. Like,
yeah,
those are the best things. I'm sure you get them all the time too.
Yes, and that's what makes it addicting, and that's when you really realize, okay, I have a lot of responsibility. Like this is not just because when you say it like, oh, YouTube or even TikTok, especially TikTok, when you say like TikTok, it just doesn't sound. It's like, oh, it's like not real, but it is real. These are real lives. These are real people. Like this is, imagine a crowd of 50,000 people. That's who you're talking to. You're talking to a crowd of fucking 50. It's a lot of people.
There's over 1 billion users with a B. So it's like, all it takes is TikTok to put one video out and do well, and you've got a massive audience. And if you've got a compelling message, then you'd be surprised.
We have an extremely important message. Like we're teaching people how to make money. And that's like
so nowadays, especially after COVID. COVID hit, and so many people lost their job. Reselling, in my opinion, is a skill that like transcends like the 9-to-5 era, and you want to have 100 full-time resellers. I think that number should have another 0 on there, realistically, with the size of the marketplace.
Yeah, I just started small, man. I wanted something where, sometimes I'll set these goals and they're a little bit too big. Trust me, I'm ambitious. I want to reach that, but I think working with 100 people, that's just a start. I want to accomplish that by 2026. And if I can do that by 2026, I'll know my head's in the right space on social media.
Yeah.
I'll know my head's in the right space, creating educational content. And then I can go on to my next venture after that. But I know to reach 100 full-time Amazon sellers, like legitimately 100 people, I'm going to impact thousands and thousands of lives.
Absolutely. How many are you up to now?
I'm at like 5 right now, 5 that have reached out to me. So, and I'm
sure you're at more than reached out, but yeah, that's a good place to start though. Like 100 it'll come by and you'll hit it in no time.
Yeah. That's the plan, man.
So somebody asked a question. They said that their wife is worried about the book market suddenly dying. I don't think that's going to happen, but I always market this as like maybe not the thing you'll do forever, but maybe it's the bridge to the next thing. What are your thoughts?
I think it could definitely be a bridge, but there's not a lot of there's the ebook market was the one that was supposed to take out the book market. But right. I think it was 2018, more people, like growth-wise, the ebook market went down and the book market went back up, which went against the trend that we were used to seeing. I always say this in my webinar, Vox suggests that we're buying more print books because of our time online. People don't like to be on a Kindle. People don't like to be on their phone reading. My book sales were doing fine right now. During COVID, they actually, for me, they went down a little bit, but I think it was just because we weren't sending inventory in. But I know a lot of booksellers, it went up. But yeah, there's a lot of people still in business. I buy lots of books every week on Amazon. Like maybe not every week, but every month I buy a lot of books.
Are you using?
I think people that like reading books like reading books.
Are you using eFlip to buy on Amazon?
A little every now and then. I've actually been doing a lot of eBay to Amazon flips. So I'm using
I think eBay to Amazon is probably a better flip. I tried the eFlip, and I'm not a big fan of it. It just seems too clunky. Doesn't seem like I feel like I'm still flying blind. But I agree with you.
So what are you using instead?
I think that just looking for books that I know will resell, like certain textbooks. Like for some reason, out of the blue, I got an email from Amazon ungating me in Pearson, so I could do Pearson.
Really?
I can't do McGraw. Yeah, I can't do McGraw Hill. I can't do the other one.
That's so interesting. When did that happen?
Like 2 months ago, month and a half ago, something like that.
Yeah.
And I thought at that point maybe I was ungated in popular textbooks, but I wasn't. It's just Pearson.
Huh. That's interesting, man. Maybe there's a light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to.
Yeah. And like Amazon, you never know what the criteria is with Amazon. So, they don't tell you why they're going to ungate you or what you need. Sometimes if you're auto ungated, you just one day you can do it.
For anyone listening who's ambitious enough, maybe you could even try this and start your own restricted inventory service. I think if you order 10 units from a trusted distributor or supplier, if you order 10 units from McGraw Hill, you should be able to get ungated technically. I haven't tried it yet just because I'm safe right now with that, but I should probably try it on my account that got gated.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to try. I heard somebody say that the 10 units is a good number, but to try to stay away from 10 exactly, maybe do 11 or 12 just so you don't look like that guy trying to ungate. I don't know if there's any kind of way.
10's been my magic number. Someone told me, I know the traditional advice was 10 units total, but that didn't work for me. I had 1 unit of Lego, I had 1 unit of American Girl doll, 1 unit of all these different brands trying to get ungated in. Didn't get ungated. When I ordered 10 units from one brand, that's when I got ungated. So I think there's something about, I think that's like the threshold. It's got to be 10 units of 1 unit. That's just from my personal experience. I've heard other gurus out there say different things, but what actually worked for me was that.
Yeah. A few people are gonna stay the course, so that's good that you are you going to mess with anything in Q4, or are you going to stick with just books and CDs?
Yeah, I'm actually messing with Legos right now.
Nice.
I bought an $800 Lego set the other day. You said what?
Are we going to have a restrictedlego.com?
I'm ungated in Lego. You guys can get ungated in Lego too. I'll tell you guys how to get ungated. Order 10 units. Order 10 units. I ordered from Ingram. Ingram book. I've ordered 10 Lego books and got ungated in Lego. A lot of people get mad that you share how to get ungated. I don't give a fuck. It's like,
it's all these people that are gatekeepers, man. Like Ingram's good, Entertainment Earth is good.
and I'm the owner of
information out.
RestrictedInventory.com, and I'm telling people, it's like, if you don't want to sell it, send it to me. But I'm going to tell you how to do it.
I love how you mentioned Gary Vee earlier, because one of his biggest talking points is 99% of people won't do damn thing about it. So that's why we share the information, because I know 99% of people
It's
won't.
so unfortunate when you realize it's true. Because at first I got inspired by that. I was like, oh, like, if that's true, then I can go out and I can make it happen. But now being like a course creator, I'm offended. I'm offended when I see, 20% of people didn't even open the course or whatever it is. It's probably even higher than that. It's probably like 80%. Like realistically, it's probably like a sick number. But it's like, I want people to take action. I want people to do this. But the reality is people won't, and that's just how people are with things in life. You only can do so much in your lifetime. So it kind of makes sense. Like, think of how many things you've tried but just not fulfilled. Like how many different hobbies you've picked up and just not done them. It's like you're only gonna be able to do so much. So that statistic actually kind of makes sense.
So do you see, like, when people open the course versus when they buy it? Like, do you see a percentage of people that are buying it and then just not opening it?
I can go in Teachable and I can individually click and see who's done what. And some people haven't even gone through it. It's just like, I'm offended. I want them to go through
it. Maybe build in a second layer to your course for like accountability.
Right. Yeah, we do have a short email sequence that we follow up with, but
because I know with like Amazon Lit, Eric over there, I think he does like weekly calls or whatever, like with some of the mentees. So maybe like set up your guys with a phone call that says, hey, where are you at? What have you done? What are you doing?
Right. Yeah, we have the Facebook group, and I do calls in there.
And you have the private Facebook group too, right?
Yeah, the private Facebook group is what I was referring to.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, hey, I appreciate you stopping by. It's been an hour. I don't want to take up any more time of yours than I have to. But if you want, leave us with some parting wisdom, or what's going to happen.
Go out there, hustle, get after it. Really like hustle. And what I mean by that is like actually do things, because you're going to create more opportunity that way. Like if you go out, like network with people, like do everything that the Money Badger says, everything, like just whatever you get excited about, just go do it. And then, because a lot of this is luck. A lot of this is luck. People don't want to talk about that, but a lot of this comes down to like, you're just going to come across a lucky opportunity. You could argue that, TikTok was a lucky opportunity for you. You just post it on there because you heard Gary Vee say it. You're like, screw it. Gary Vee said it. I'm going to do it. Boom. Took off. What if we never did it?
Yeah.
That you'd never be here, So just try everything. And then certain things will stick. And then once they stick, once you find a place with good books, stay there. Like, focus on it. Like, go harder on the things that work. So, like, throw 1,000 darts. Do 1,000 different things. Even maybe it's not even books, maybe it's Lego, maybe it's something else. But just keep throwing things, and one thing's going to kind of work. It's probably because you got lucky with it, and it's probably because like you have a certain skill set that aligns with it, and it was lucky that you figured that out. And once you figure that out, go harder in it. Like, you're very good at TikTok. Like, it's just something that you're naturally good at, and for whatever reason, Instagram didn't like your content as much. Maybe Instagram's harder to grow on, by the way. It's like, it's weird. But like this certain thing lined up, and then take advantage of it. Like, don't just rub it off like, oh no, I want to be an Instagrammer and go back to Instagram,
Right.
Or I want to make money from this thrift store, or I want to be a cherry picker like the Money Badger, versus like maybe there's a great bulk opportunity, or maybe there's a great consignment opportunity, or like maybe you found out about like a wholesale book opportunity. Like, who knows? Like, there's so many different ways to do it. Go after what works, and you're not going to be able to go after what works if you don't hustle a million different directions. That's my advice.
There's a million and one ways to skin a cat, and that's why, like, I'm not super worried about this business, because like there's bulk, there's cherry picking, there's consignment. I mean, there's just so many different ways to make money in this business.
And
so
free pickups. We didn't even say free pickups are
free
huge.
pickup.
My mentor up in New York right now is doing $125,000 a month on Amazon with free. Like, there's so much. I look at the opportunity. I'm like, holy shit! I'm like pulling my hair out, like, because I'm missing out on so much. Because I have to focus on so little. Because you only can focus on a few things. Can't do everything.
Yeah. Well, hey, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate all the advice you dropped to the
100%
followers we have. If there's anything I could do for you in the future, let me know. And, hopefully likewise, we need to just connect more often, I think. I think that we kind of drifted apart when you went to Miami. But, hey, this has been really great. Been a lot of fun for me. It's very educational. I think we dropped a lot of knowledge bombs here, especially yourself. Once again, everybody follow Avery over at Roamer the Roamer. He's on all platforms, YouTube, TikTok, you name it. I'll link him in the description. Avery, don't forget to get me that link for the affiliate for your course.
And if you're willing, I'll get you a link for. We talked about restricted inventory a decent amount. I'll get you one for that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah, give me both. Give me all that you can, and I'll link everything in the description below, guys. And
awesome. It was
Avery,
a pleasure.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Yep.
You have a great night, man.
I'll see you, brother.
Bye.